Yeah, yeah. I've been working just for you, cause I know just what I got. Girl, it's something that you do. I don't feel like this a lot. I don't feel like it's a lot. Is this really what you want? You've been heavy on my heart. I just wanna make it work. I wanna be more than a friend, so do you got room for a lover? I'm loving the way that you do it. I love it when we undercover. I don't know what to do, I'm so deep in love with you, in love with you. So I just wanna know, yeah. So I just wanna know.
Back again. Back again. Check, check. You're he, you're he. You're he, you're he. It's been a while since I've been on the bar. It's been a while since I've been on the bar. What's happening? Let me have a look, see what's happening. Give me a second. What's happening? Check, check. You're he, you're he. You're he, you're he. Yeah, it seems like it's up and running. Okay. Wow. The bar. Pop up, lay low. So I don't even need that mic. Okay, cool. I'll take it. Ah, grand old chat room. Grand old chat room. Okay. Wicked, wicked. AJ in the building. Yeah, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. So where was we? We was looking at some of GA, right? Before we came out, they were showing us something. Give me a second. Let's get my thing ready. There we are.
What continent that's supposed to be. Maybe it's Oceania. They're like they
All right. First of all, what continent? You mentioned the continent, right?
right there. There's one right there, right through the clouds. I don't even know what continent that's supposed to be. Maybe it's Oceania. They're like they
If you look closely now, remember they revealed it to us in night and day, right? Night and day. Now we have to remember this is an inverted realm, right? An inverted realm. It don't move. It's the same thing they're showing us here, right? What they're showing us. Right? It's the same picture, night and day. But it's this location. Well, not this, but it's, Earth. What do I mean by that? You have to invert it, turn it the other way around. Right? Then it becomes clearer. They're showing you Africa, but it's upside down. Right? It's showing you Africa, but it's upside down. Right? Here's the Straits of Gibraltar right there. That connects you to Europe. Right? It connects you to Europe. So this will be the rest of Europe. Has the Mediterranean Sea right here. Now, I hope you folks can see that. All right. So it'd be Africa, what they're showing you right there. You have to invert this bitch. Excuse my language. It's a weird world they give us, right? Everything's inverted or, on a micro to macro scale. You have to pay attention to these people. Very slippery.
are calling Australia Oceania a lot for some reason. I don't know what's up with that. I think they're trying to like block off different sections of the earth and just divide it up into like different sections. So they don't want to call it Australia and New Zealand and Tasmania and stuff like that. I just want to call it Oceania. Anyways,
But I think that Oceania or somewhere along the lines in Australia. Wasn't that the hidden continent or the missing continent rather? And then I think they realized it extends much further. Is it meant to be a part of Australia or New Zealand in that region? I think that could be the missing continent or hidden land, which is, submerged.
This is huge to me.
But hold
And
on, keep this in mind, right? The images they give us of Africa, right, is takes up nearly half of the sphere sometimes, right? I want you to keep that in mind because I came across something and it contradicts what they say. But just pay attention to Africa.
anyways, this is huge to me. You know what I'm saying? Isn't this huge? Wouldn't that be huge to you guys? Look at that. It's the same picture.
Mhm.
It's just they darkened it. This is supposed to be authentic. Let that play in your head for just a bit, okay? Let's move on. There's the moon from closer to the moon than we are. How many people look up at the night sky and see the moon ever that small?
Quickest way to improve vision.
This is the quickest way to improve.
Maybe I should have listened to that advert again. I keep doing that. Improve vision. I should have listened. Damn. All right, next time.
Oh, you don't understand. You have to go to college for 18 and a half years. You don't understand how optics work. Jay, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Look at that dot of a moon out there. I've seen it smaller than that.
Second, has he gone past the other one?
When they're closer to the moon. I think this was like 3 days into the journey off to the moon, and that's supposed to be the moon. No stars, once again, just blackness.
Yeah, how is that possible? Riddle me that. Can anybody explain that? I mean, is there any globies in the building? Illumitomi, you there? How do we get closer to the moon, but it's getting smaller? Hmm? I've seen the moon look bigger than this. How is that possible? Hmm? How do you approach the moon, but it's smaller, but on Earth it's much bigger? That is strange to me. Does anybody know? Anybody? No? Okay.
There it is again. I've got a cool video of like they're live streaming right now, allegedly. It keeps going blue. The whole screen will go blue. There's lots of glitches and it's real suspect and weird and stuff. It's even worse than the pictures. Their alleged live stream. But I recorded it because a lot of these things really pop out when you play the videos in fast forward. And I mean like really fast forward because they slow this down so much. You know what I mean? It's hard to people don't have that much patience, but I do. I do. Let me share that with you right now. Watch what the moon does in this video. So here's a video. I sped this up 50 times the speed. And sometimes you can see me clicking on the screen or whatever.
Oh.
But this is look at the moon.
What?
Dancing.
How is that possible? It's still in the same position which it's being eclipsed by. Something's eclipsing it. Or in between it. I can't it's in the same dance with this. Is that the sun and the moon? It's still in the same dance. Like moving around, yeah? Okay. Same crescent. Yeah, the same crescent. Take that back. That's crazy.
Here's a video. I sped this up 50 times the speed. And sometimes you can see me clicking on the screen or whatever. But look at the moon dancing around out there. Isn't this something? Meow, and then it'll stop and go at like 45, 90 degree angles and stuff. Now I know that they'll have an explanation. They'll say, "Oh, we put on the spritzes of air at that particular moment. We were going this way, and we went, and that's how we got this
Yeah, I like that.
space." There it is again. So yeah, that's the moon doing its moon dance out there as they're trying to like keep whatever they're doing steady. Isn't that something? Look at that. That's so weird. I would love to get a time lapse of them actually, the moon's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? I would love all kinds of things, but
Yeah, I would love that too, Jay. That sounds nice. That sounds good to watch, right? A time lapse of the moon getting bigger and bigger. Why don't we see these things? Why don't they even show us leaving Earth, how it looks? It's 2026 and they got people still questioning NASA, right? We're still questioning them. How is it 2026 and we're still questioning our governments? Still questioning the governments? That says a lot about the government itself. They should look in the mirror. 2026. Look at this. Look at this. And we've still got, globies out here. We still got like globies. We still got people that believe in this. They need this. They need this. Look at this. 2026, and we're still questioning governments, corporations. They're not bothered though. They are not phased. They're not bothered. Come on. They're really not bothered. There's some people that, they probably never even heard of a psyop flat earth and they're just in their complete little bubble. Just like how we used to be. Right? These things never ever cross their mind. They're just looking at this and taking it for what it is. Completely fishes. Wild. CGI at its worst, right? And they're buying it.
those are my wishes, and my NASA wishes will never come true. Unfortunately, I wished upon the wrong star. Here's another one. Strikes.
Look at this. Look at this. How is this one more better than this one? How is that one better than this one? Look. Why don't they give us something like this? Like, even though this isn't what it's supposed to be, they're showing us the globe. But why don't they show us the moon like that as they're approaching it? Right? Someone looking towards the moon, show us the albedo of it and all of that stuff and the lights and the sun on the other side. Why don't we ever see those things? We don't need governments. I concur with that, most definitely. Baxter in the building. How you doing? Famalam, lay low, lay low. Most definite. Big up, big up.
Me as AI, like real combined with AI or something. I don't know.
Yeah, real combined with AI. Hear that?
Something just feels off about the picture. I don't really have much to point out. Nasty, dirty windows. Maybe that. What's up with the nasty, dirty windows anyway? Hold on, let me check it out. Look at all these clouds. How cloudy is the earth? And then they just stop when they get right there.
Yeah, what is that?
Like how cloudy is
What is this brown smudge? What's that?
the earth? Really? Look at these disgusting windows. Jeez.
If you frequently have to go to the bathroom late.
Look at these disgusting windows.
Another picture they took of the moon. Oh my goodness, look at that. Like people can take this exact same picture just going outside. My phone can do this.
I know. Look at this. Look at this. 2026, and we got stuff like this. People are loving it. Loving it. So even people like Simon Dan, he's got his little following, his little cult. They was going crazy over this stuff, right? They was going crazy over this. Oh, it looks so beautiful. Look at it. W for us. Like, wow. They love it.
My phone, I zoom in on the moon and it puts an AI picture of the moon when I zoom in 100 times at the moon. It won't let me see the actual moon. It'll superimpose a picture of the moon live on my phone. So it will never actually let me see the moon, which is crazy. Let's zoom in on this. What's up with this super bright parts? Why are there lights on the moon? Why are there little stars on the moon? What's up with all these little white dots all over the moon? Well, you don't understand. It's how the light is refracting and reflecting and bending and twisting, and it's over here it's just a brighter part of the moon, and over here it's just a darker, I don't know, weird. Here's another picture of the moon. It's a crescent moon now. So from the crescent moon to the full moon, where's that full moon? This is full moon. Here's full moon. Here's a crescent moon. That was like 3 days. I've never seen, I mean, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I'm not the end all be all of knowledge on the subject or whatever, but I've never seen the moon go from full to just a sliver in 3 days. Here's the Earth, a sliver of the Earth. Let me jump in the comments, see what everybody's saying. Hold on. Let me actually scooch this up a little bit so you guys can see it a little better.
There you go.
We got Jocelyn Love in the chat who says, Jay, the fake moon equipment has been in the basement, so it's dirty. I know it's been collecting dust for 70 years or 1,000 years, however long it's been since they went to the moon. So yeah, here's another one of the Earth, just cloudy Earth all over. Let's zoom in on it a little bit, see what we can see. This the biggest storm ever right here. Like, look at that. That's just the biggest storm on Earth ever, right?
Don't worry, I got something coming with that storm. It's not what you think it is, right? They show it to you as a storm building, right? Hey, it's something deeper than that, my friend. Trust me. Like I said, it all leads back to the eye, but that's on a different subject.
There. Where is this? You know what I mean? Where are we looking right now? Why does it blend right into space? Even when you
Woo! Why does it blend right into space? Jay asked the question, where are we? Have a look. Listen.
biggest storm ever right here. Like, look at that. That's just the biggest storm on Earth ever right there. Where is this? You know,
Where is this?
that's just the biggest storm on Earth ever right there. Where is
Okay. Now, there's a reason why NASA went out of their way and showed you these pictures, right? There's a reason why they got off their way and show you these pictures. All right, hold on a second. Let's go over here a sec. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, they're showing you it for a reason. Right now, if you look closely, let's do this one first. Hold on a second. Let me show you this one. They're showing us this is for a reason. Now, from my understanding, what we're looking at over here is Africa, right? Now, remember what I said to you, normally when they show us Africa, it takes up, one side of the globe, like really, doesn't it? Right? But it's about perspective. There's a reason why they show it like that, right? Now, check this out, right? Go. Oh, that's too close. How do I make it go over that way? 1 second. All right, that's better. right? Africa. Look how small it is on this globe. Africa here. This is Africa here, right? On the side of it, this will be South Africa, Cape Town down here, right? Now follow me, follow my cursor right here. It's this snake thing protruding, whatever it is. It's not a snake, but it's got like a mouth or a serpent mouth, but it's not. I'm just trying to give it a description, right? Some type of thing coming out. That is this bit here, right? That is this. That's this coming out of here. It's under the waters, right? When you go up, keep going up, right? North Africa up here. So over here would lead you into the Mediterranean, as they're showing you here. Look, waters there. But I want to show you this bit over here. Look, it's got Victoria Lakes here, right? There and there, right? Victoria Lakes there, Victoria Lakes there. It's all there. And then directly across, but right there, would be Madagascar. Right, let's have a look. There you go. Bingo. Hidden in plain sight. Madagascar, Africa, Victoria Lake. Madagascar, Africa, Victoria Lake. Right? Listen, there's a reason why they show you this. Now, this would be the waters that divide the Africa and the Americas, right? This body of waters. Here we are. South Atlantic, right? So you're looking at the South Atlantic right here. Look how small it is compared to what they show us on the globe, right? It's one little section here. And then you got the rest of this big, supposedly globe, right? So look, like I said, there's Africa, there's Madagascar, there's Victoria Hall, right? Victoria Lake, the waters. One, two, right? And like I said, this formation underneath the ocean, right? That formation underneath the ocean is this coming off again. You ain't gonna get it anywhere else. You pay attention. Trying to show you the construct. There's a reason why they show us these things. Like I said, we all try to debunk NASA in our own way, right? I use the things they give me because I know why they show us, but most of you folks don't know why, right? There's lies to NASA and there's some truth within their lies. I must say that, right? Right, so this is what they're showing you here, the Africans. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand the message I'm trying to convey. Put a 2 if you are still confused. If you're confused, put a 2. If you understand, put a 1 in the chat, please. I have to understand. Tars understands. Good stuff. JP, I understand. Good man. Good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, it's what they show you, right? There's a reason why they show you these things. There's a reason why they show us these things. So what we're looking at could possibly be what Wim always talks about, the bigger Earth, right? This would be considered the bigger Earth. Look at the size of it, right? Normally, Africa would be taking up all of this, but look at the size of it here. Crazy.
What is this? You know what I mean? Where are we looking right now? Why does it blend right into space?
Why does it blend right into space? Jeez, that's cold. I like that.
When you look at the moon and it's not full and it's slivery or whatever, you know what I mean? Look at that. It comes right to that point.
Because that's what we see, really, isn't it? When we look up, it blends into space. Our Earth blends into space, right? Even though they're meant to be a barrier, but it blends. It's this crystalline see-through barrier. But it's just gonna blend into the darkness. Gonna blend into the darkness, aka space.
Right there. Let's see what else I got. Oh, here's a full moon 3 days later. So that other one, crescent moon, and then 3 days later, boom, full moon. So this is inside of the Orion spacecraft, allegedly.
Look at this.
Here's the yin yang of the moon.
Look, we're still getting footage like this. 2027, and they're still giving us images like this. Excuse me, 26. 2026, yeah. Yeah, we're still getting this. Look at this. Like, no astronaut thought, okay, let me get a nice selfie with the moon, right? Let me snap one on my phone, or let me make a video. How come these people don't make videos no more on their phones when they're in the space? Does the iPhone not work in space? Huh? Don't they make a type of phone where you can make little images, little clips? Like, nothing's relatable. These people are not relatable to society. Humans have evolved to start recording now. We are all some type of photographers and researchers, right? Why don't they make a phone that an astronaut can take up there and record, take it back to his friends and family? This is what humans do now. We record things. Haven't you seen like the average human walking down the road? We're just on their phone recording. We're doing things. And they're still giving us stuff like this. Okay.
Right outside their window. And this is what it should look like. We should see it getting bigger and bigger as they get closer to the moon. But
Yes, exactly, Jay. My point. Good point. I like that one. Good point. We should see it getting bigger and bigger as they approach the moon. But we do not see that. We do not see that.
right outside their window. And this is what it should look like. We should
Look, exactly. Go on, look. This should be it. Approaching it.
see it getting bigger
Yeah, approaching it.
and bigger as they get closer.
Yeah. Day 1, day 2, day 3, stuff like that. It's getting bigger. Show us in stages. Right? On a time lapse. Right? Time lapse it.
Closer to the moon. But what is this? You see that? What are these circles on the moon? What's up with that?
Yeah. That looks crazy. That looks like a concentric one, like a target type of thing. That's got like a target sign. First time I've seen that.
That's interesting. All right, let's see what the next picture is. Oh, here's them looking out of the window again. They can position their windows out there in space. It's super easy to navigate, even though it's a vacuum and there's nothing to push off of against, nothing for their rockets or spritzes of air or whatever they're using. I don't even know what they're using. They keep talking about burns when they're like, oh, they're going to perform another burn. I think they're burning the people. I think that's the burn. They're going to do another burn. A slow burn pushing against absolutely nothing. Now let's stop it. Let's stop it perfectly. It's not like it's, drifting or anything like that. Like you see the things that they play with inside of the like their microphones when they flip them around and they're floating. They're just constantly drifting, or slowly falling back down or something. The spacecraft itself doesn't seem to have that problem because of the spritzes of air. Here's another astronaut.
Oh
checking out the moon.
Lord, don't do this to yourself. This looks like he's in his bedroom. Took it from his bedroom window or something, right? Or the car window. Look at this. Why do they do these type of shots? Like, who you fooling? Who are you trying to fool here, mister?
Let's zoom in on that one. Because it looks like we can see stuff. Maybe it's the glare from the window. I don't know. Possibly. I don't know. Possibly.
What is that meant to be, stars?
Possibly. Let's see what else we got. Now, here's a big picture of the moon. This one's kind of interesting. Look at this object. Look at this thing. These concentric rings and circles. You see that? Look at that.
Yeah.
Like a happy face on the moon. You got a circle and another circle and another circle.
Quickest way to
Yeah, these moon images suck. NASA, you suck. Nothing looks real from you people. You suck.
I did get a super chat from Jaguar Black. Hey, high five. Thank you so much. Jaguar Black says, hey, how are you? I'm literally mind boggled on them literally giving us the exact same fake Earth. Also, the moon has the same bright city dots. I know. What's up with that?
This little bit here, though. The formation and everything looks similar to something. This part here almost looks like it's just the moon itself that we get presented with, right? This bit here itself.
Isn't that something? Look at all these little dots on the moon. Look at this. Like, what is that right there? There's one right there. There's one right there. This one's crescent. But look at that dot. Look at that dot. Yep, you're right. Let's see what else I got. Thank you so much for the support and the super chat. All right, here's another view of the moon, alleged. Thank you.
I'll tell you that, but
What is that right there?
imagine if the moon was much bigger. That's in the sky. Imagine this is what we're seeing in the sky. All right, but there's so much more to it. All of this.
There's one right there. There's one right there. This one's crescent. But look at that dot. Look at that dot. Yep, you're right. Let's see what else I got. Thank you so much for the support and the super chat. All right, here's another view of the moon, allegedly. Let's zoom in on this one and see what we got. Look at that. I'm more inclined to believe that this is electrical scarring, where a filament of electricity just kind of dragged in this direction along whatever the surface is, kind of sputtering as it goes. Than I am to believe that there was millions of years ago. Where did the oceans come from? Well, they didn't come from the lava that made the trees. And
Yeah, these craters, I don't know what they are. I don't know what they represent. Yeah, I'm still confused. Craters.
humans, you're all lava people. Do you know that? Because the earth was lava a long time ago and then it just evolved. The lava evolved into, jaguars and humans and water fountains.
So it involves, jaguars and humans. That shit's crazy. StreamYard looks wild now. It's gone dark mode and everything. But what's going on with that? Crazy. Grand old chat room. What's happening? What is happening? Grand old chat room. CC in the building. Baxter in the building. Salute, salute. What else we got down there? Fools and Tools in the building. Tars in the building. Salute. Jeeps in the building. Salute. She said, year he, year he, year he, year he. Brian Jones in the building. Salute. Much love. Max 7 in the building. Salute. AJ in the building. Big up. Browns boy, you know. Jeez. Browns in the building. Salute. Angel Wings in the building. Much love. Rasta in the building. Big up. Big up. All right. Salute to everybody, man. Much love. We got a Rose Cripple 7 in the building. Rose Cripple 7. That's crazy. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, these people are performing rituals. All right, rituals in front of our eyes, paying homage to something or someone, right? Something or someone. I'm gonna go with someone. Who is it? Who could it be? Wow. I like that. I like that. You never know. Definitely Bo though. Bo definitely plays a big part in this, you know. It actually has, you know what, where's that film Bo that I had? Get into some Bo after, okay.
Among the Jewish Americans who understood
Take that back. But the rituals though, rituals, this rocket ship and everything leads back to the eye, right? For some reason, I don't know. I don't know what the rocket represents, but I know what the capsule is, right?
among the Jewish Americans who understood the urgency of the
The hell?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Am I the only one that sees these things? So during the Indian space launch, the moon mission, so to say, and remember, any moon mission, there's always going to be a trinity. So we have this space mission with the number 3 encoded in its name. But if you look at the launch or the pillar or the facility that they launched off of, you see a play on the Shiva's arms. And Shiva, we know, is associated with the portal opening. This is the year of the rabbit, the vortex, the portal, the rabbit hole kind of concept has been played a lot in a lot of different stories and a lot of things going on this year. So we see that, we just had the Ocean's Gate thing that recently occurred. And if you know anything about James Cameron's work, the Ocean's Gate thing that recently
Depicted with a cow type of deity there as well, right? Now the horns connected to the moon, right? We already went over that shit. More lens worshipping. More lens worshipping.
occurred. And if you know anything about James Cameron's work, he always encodes the ocean and space as being the same or vice versa in a lot of his different stories. This is why the Space Marines. The Navy is in space because it's a play on water, and you see that a lot of the planets that he has in his films are a play on the ocean because it's both the same thing. So when we have this Ocean's Gate thing, you should also be thinking about the sky being encoded, and the sky or space is maybe water, but it's also in code for spirituality. So I don't want you to think that aliens or anything that's about to come through a portal, but more so that these are encoding deeper things or energy shifts on the planet, so to say. So we have this 40-day mission, play on the 40 days, 40 nights in the Bible, going on with this Indian moon mission. So it'll be interesting to see. But it just had me thinking about Shiva, especially seeing this, knowing that this is the year of the rabbit, and all the different little characters that I see in different shows representing Shiva and being a play kind of on the rabbit. See Doctor Strange, he's a rabbit character. His name is Stephen Strange, which whenever you have a character with the same first and last initials, it's a play on the kind of rabbit concept. So Stephen Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, two S's. Same thing with like Peter Parker. And if you notice the Tom Holland version of the Peter Parker's Spider-Man story is the character who goes through the portals. And this is when he gets the Iron Spider or the Shiva arms, so to say, on him.
Damn. Yo, Spidey went through that portal to get them Shiva arms. Okay. Mm. That reminds me of like how would you call it? Like changing of the DNA, mixing with the DNA, right? Went through the arc, right? Where the cells would be kept, the mitochondria and all of that stuff, right? So he's gone through the portal and he's come back changed. Okay.
And you see Shiva in Mortal Kombat 3, and that's the game where the portal is encoded all throughout the game. You see portals in the background of a lot of different stages. That's when the portals open for the whole outworld to come into our world. And that's what
Damn, that's Mortal Kombat. I remember that game. That was a good game, Mortal Kombat. Finish him. Woo. Toasty.
that game is kind of encoding. And you see another interesting Marvel opening rabbit or portal opening rabbit is Robbie Reyes, the I think the second or third Ghost Rider. And you see his outfit. He looks just like a normal Ghost Rider, but his name has a double R in it. He's encoding Robbie Reyes, the portal jumper, and the same actor is in other movies where he's playing a portal jumper. In the Terminator series, he's the portal jumping Terminator. But in the in the Ghost Rider character that he plays, he can open portals similar to Doctor Strange's portals, and his outfit has the upside down rabbit ear symbol on it, letting you know it's like the bad rabbit, but being portrayed in a good aspect. You have another character named Spiral from the X-Men series. She's a character who has multiple arms. It's a play on Shiva. She's from another dimension that watches other dimensions. It's kind of like a portal opener. And you see that this character's name is Spiral, which is a play on the rabbit hole, the swirl, the spiral. And this is why, as you'll see in an upcoming video I have, a lot of rabbit hole stories will include the interracial dating.
Ah, you got the rabbit there. Okay. Meghan and Harry, yeah.
Thing because it's further reinforcing the spiral kind of concept or the rabbit hole, the blending of light and dark by going through the rabbit hole. And you see that her helmet or her hat piece has horns on it. And a lot of times in a lot of different stories, rabbit characters will go back between uh, horns and or bunny ears, and you see this kind of concept or look in her, similar to like Magic from X-Men as well. Even Bumblebee, his original design had horns. In the recent series, he has bunny ears, but it's a play on the concept in her,
Hold on.
similar to like Magic from
Yeah, the
X-Men
horns,
as
the
well.
beehive, right? The beehive, Bumblebee, the beehive. Oh man, connection. Check, 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 check. We still here.
Even Bumblebee, his original design had horns. In the recent series, he has bunny ears, but it's a play on the concept of a bunny, just telling a different element or a different position of that kind of story. When a character
Oh, so they can. Someone else said the volume was quite low, but is it still low? I don't know how to change it. Second, let's try it over here. Give me a sec. Oh my. Oh man. If I'm gonna she ain't working. A sec again. She knows
has horns versus the bunny ears. And this is why the character who plays Harry Potter is in a film called Horns, not by coincidence, because they're. This is why the character who plays Harry Potter is in a film called Horns, not by coincidence, because they're playing on that concept when they do films like that or use that kind of actor. Another rabbit character is General Grievous in the Star Wars series and the prequels. They introduced this character named General Grievous. He has four arms. It's almost like they had to introduce him for it in order for the portal jumping or the time skip kind of to be shown. But across from him is Princess Amidala or Padme, and Padme is a Omni Man Padme is an associated name with Shiva. So you see a lot of Padme's outfit is also it's with Shiva.
only money as well. Money. Isn't that to do with hand as well? Or what's Manny again? Hold on a second. Manny was. Give me a sec. It had another meaning to him when I looked at it. What was it again? That's it. A jewel as well. Right, a jewel. A jewel. And the moon deity here, referring to the Norse moon deity. Okay, yes. Mechanism using including better money. Okay, yeah. Gem or precious stone again. There's that stone. The stone always seems to pop up, right? The stone, the gem, the jewel, or the stone, right? You know what else pops up? The rock or the mountain or the mound, right? If there's a rock, there's a mountain. If there's a mountain, there's a mound. If there's a mound, there's a mond. If there's a mond, there's a moon. If there's a moon, there's a lens, right?
Shiva. So you see a lot of Padme's outfit is also inspired by Shiva. And then you even the name Amidala or Amidala, I forget how it's pronounced, but you see the name Amida in Buddhism associated with like the Shiva concept or the multiple palms. General Grievous's vehicle that he rides to reinforce it is kind of pretty much like a portal. He's riding in like a mobile portal with the four pillars. And if you look at the space launch, this launching of the shuttle, what does it look like? It looks like Shiva's arms with four pillars surrounding. Focus a lot on Spider-Man characters because he's one of the biggest American or Western superhero characters, and his story encodes way more than just meets the eye. But in his villain catalog, all the villains, if you notice, the original Spider-Man's villains are all turtle designs because it's a play on the rabbit versus the turtle. But Doctor Octopus is also happens to encode a rabbit character as well, and his name being Otto Octavius, two O's. And then he has the goggles on that you see in a lot of rabbit hole characters. Think about like Doc Brown from uh, Back to the Future, Tales from Sonic, Riddick from the Chronicles of Riddick. So whenever you see those kind of goggles, that's an indicator that somebody will be traveling through the rabbit hole. And if you pay attention to the Spider-Man film, Spider-Man 2, where he fell into the palm of the sun, and his play on the zodiac position, or uh, that these characters are playing in the sky. But he goes into the sun, you see he's actually like going through a portal, and then he wakes up in the No Way Home film. And then we have this event now going on, and I believe it's Australia, where this mysterious object has come across the shore. And just looking at it immediately, it looks like the dumpster that I saw on Power Rangers. And Power Rangers is a story about Mercury Rabbit in the form of Rita Repulsa. Remember, double initials, Rita Repulsa, two R's. She's a rabbit. Look at her hairstyle, and I always notice a parallel between space launches or the events of space, the big space launches, and things that are going on down here. So, to give you an example of this, if you pay attention to when we had the synchronized rioting all over the world in 2020, if you pay attention to the space launch activity that was going on during that time, who was there and where they should have been when the riots were starting all over the world. It kind of just shows you that maybe that's like a lighting of the torch kind of activity for events that happen here with these space launches, since we know it's not really going to where they say it's going. So to bring this video to a close, whenever you're watching a story or reading a story, watching a film, if you see a character with four arms or multiple arms, it might be encoding Shiva, especially if it's a rabbit hole character or a portal jumping character, time travel character. And we see this in the examples that were demonstrated here, but we also see this in encoded in a lot of the name or title of events that occur in our real world, with these things not being physical manifestations, but spiritual manifestations.
I think Shiva, maybe with the arms, could also represent like refraction of the lens itself, right? Possibly, because I think Shiva represents the lens of the eye itself. But with the arms moving, multiple arms, I think that may be refraction of some type, what they're trying to show us.
Almost like summoning energy to do things in our real world. And we know we're midway through the year of the rabbit. The rabbit is a good position and a bad position. So you have the good and bad rabbit. And so far, the beginning of the year has been okay. So I expect some turbulence in the rest of the year. And we see two big events recently that kind of open are encoding the opening of the gates, where you have the Ocean Gate and the Titanic. And now we have this Shiva's gate being opened with this space launch. And with James
Between the two pillars as well, right? Okay. Mm-hmm.
Cameron's connection and all of it, a lot of his films encode space as being water or water as being space, both play on the same thing. And we see a lot of renditions of Shiva being the inspiration for the Avatar movie films with James Cameron. And this is why probably James Cameron is so active this year. This is probably why he's his the Avatar movie came out on Disney Plus around this time, and just consider a lot of films involving Avatar, even the Nickelodeon cartoon, are a play on air to water or water to the air.
Yeah, Brahmastra. All right. Brahmastra is another one as well. Hold on. Where was it? Where's that Shiva one they had? Give me a sec. Brahmastra Part 1 Shiva. Right? See how they got that eye covered up with the sword, right? Right. Oh man, check. Shit, it's crazy fucking. Focus. Check. Connection is poor tonight. Sorry, folks. Connection is poor. Let's see if it comes back up. Check. You're he. We're back in the building, hopefully. What we sounding like? It's coming in a bit hot, but we say that. What's the chat room saying? Shiva, what was it? Shiva is basically just a personification of 9 wandering stars, aka planets, nothing more. Just the light aligning. Yeah, the light, exactly. The light. That's where the lens would come into play, right? Light. The light aligning as well, right? All these back to the eye. But the Shiva. Yeah, Shiva. The rock. And then throw their rocks up. And then throw their diamonds up, right? The lens, okay. What happened to the sound?
Air to water or water to the air.
Nine, eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two, one, zero. Plus 5 seconds.
Lift off normal.
Here we have a majestic.
Lift up normal. Yo.
Plus 5 seconds.
Lift off normal.
Here we have a majestic.
Oh man. Lift off normal. All right. Everybody's trying it, right? Everybody's trying to pull the wool over our eyes. Mm? If it isn't the Americans, it's the Russians. If it isn't the Russians, it's the Indians, right? Mm? Lift off normal, my friend. Yeah. 2, 3, go.
0
0.
plus 5 seconds.
Lift off normal.
Here we have a majestic liftoff of
Yeah.
LBM-314 rocket carrying India's prestigious Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft.
That is wild. Mm? Everyone trying to pull the wool over our eyes. That's crazy. Oh man, they need to leave us alone. Ooh, the Hebrews moved Sheba to Sheba, meaning 7. I like that one. Yes, I like that one. I like there's that 7 again, right? Because the 7 was also with the menorah, right? The menorah, right? The moon, which is tied in with the Jewish folks. I like that. Mm. Go ahead and chat room. Grand old chat room. Grand old chat room. Also linked to the play. Oh yeah, most definitely. You know what I meant? That's what I knew I was missing something. The Pleiades. You just reminded me. Hold on. Let's go back to Jay's one a second. What was it Jay? No, wait, yeah. Jay. Hold on. Let's go back to where was we? The moon quick, right? Not the moon, but this image what they're showing us, right? Artemis. Artemis. Now, like I was saying, if this is the Earth, right, Africa, what's between the Americas is the waters, right? But this looks like that hidden continent, which is just, over this way from Africa, between Africa and the Americas, right? And it's a name which was connected to, I was just mentioning it. See, look, every time when I'm gonna show something, it starts cracking up, right? It starts going mad. Check, check, you're he. I think we're back. I think we're back. All right, let's go over here. All right. This is what they were showing us, remember? This is the up up north, right? This is how you do the orientation of it. You turn it up north, right? So it's facing up the correct way. Remember, they gave it to us this way, right? Upside down, right? But you've put it back to its right way, which is facing up. It shows you Africa. But what continent am I talking about? I'm talking about this one right here. Here we go, cracking up. Atlantis, apparently. Right. Right by the end of it, you got the Pleiades, right? You got the Pleiades right here. right? With the seven continents that makes up the Pleiades. Right? So that would be submerged. That would be submerged, right? Could it be this? Could it be that? I don't know. Could it be this right here? Between the Africas and the Americas, right? Is that Atlantis? Is that the reason why they're showing us? Look, this looks like it's gonna go around. I don't know, but there's a reason why they show us this. They wouldn't go out of their way to show us this, right? Is it gone? Excuse me, wrong one. Let's hold on at the firmament. Day 1S, how we doing? Let me what is link down there. We spoke about Baal earlier, right? So let's get into some Baal. Jewish side of things, right? Baal.
The rise of Nazism. Among the Jewish Americans who understood the urgency of the rise of Nazism were Zionists, and they organized to rescue Jews from Germany under the auspices of the Jewish Agency for Palestine. The Romance of a People, which the Jewish Agency for Palestine supported and sponsored, was the highlight of Jewish Day at the Chicago World's Fair. It was really something that there even existed a Jewish Day at the fair. There were a lot of ethnic days, and we'll talk a little bit about how Jewish Day came to be one of them. But it was the highlight. It would use a chorus of over 3,500 people. Colossal stage properties, as you can imagine, amplified sound, the very latest in lighting effects, music that spanned 4,000 years of Jewish history and experience in diaspora. And you may ask, how could a minority population coming under attack, as it was, assert its pride so forcefully at an international exposition? And the answer lies, I think, in the special conditions of the World's Fair that sought to bring the whole world into one concentrated space, but that is also in large part attributable to the men and women who created and pushed the production forward. And so the people behind the pageant, the producer, to the men and women who created and pushed the production forward. And so the people behind the pageant, the producers, one really cannot speak of the romance of a people without speaking of one key figure who produced the pageant against resistance and in spite of the gargantuan undertaking it was to create a performance event that would fill Soldier Field. And that was Meyer Weisskopf. Weisskopf was then the executive director of activities in the Midwest for the Zionist Organization of America, and he was the producer of the pageant. He spearheaded it, and he was perhaps spurred on, he perhaps gained confidence because he had produced a very successful Hanukkah pageant the year before, actually just maybe 5-6 months before. And he felt that performance would be the appropriate representation of the Jewish people at the World's Fair. It was delivered as the Jewish expression of the fair's openly declared overall theme, which was science finds, industry applies, and man conforms. And it profoundly inserted Jewry into the fair's subtextual but omnipresent narrative of the march of human progress. Weisskall's path as a producer was not completely free of obstructions. The first obstacle to the romance's articulation of nationalist Jewish identity and purpose was a dominant trend in liberal Reform Judaism toward embrace of
Oh,
and purpose.
the top of his hat, he's got like a pyramid with the Masonic floor checkerboard. Two palms, two hands either side.
Purpose was a dominant trend in liberal Reform Judaism toward embrace of American individualism as opposed to nationalism, and the figuration of Jewish identity as a chosen religious confession. And this ideation of Jewish identity, focused on cultural assimilation and profession of faith, was on permanent exhibit at the fair in the Jewish booth at the Hall of Religion. And this other conception of Jewish identity, which was focused on cultural assertion and a revival of Jewish national life, became.
Ah, so that's so they're going into Baal. Was that Baal all this time? Okay, or Moloch, whoever it is,
In fact, the dominant representation
with the three eyes. That's the same thing, right? I'm pretty sure. Hold on a second. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. I had no idea. Oh, okay.
of Jewish Day at the fair. A special day in which Jews as an ethnic group, like other ethnic groups, were given focus. Now, luckily, Weisskall wrote about this in his autobiography, which he published in the 1970s. He called it So Far. And he talked about plans for Jewish appearance at the fair and how they were delayed because the Chicago Jewish leaders were divided about the categorical definitions of Jewish. Community. Was it held together through religious belief and practice? Was it about biological inheritance, distinctive cultural behavior, some sort of combination? Jewish participation in the fair was delayed because there was this undecidability about exactly what Jewish identity was. Still, Weisskall was tenacious, and he gathered a team of writers, prominent Jewish Chicagoans, and performing artists, and he began to pull together the greatest live demonstration of Jewish national identity that had ever been staged.
Look at these buildings. Where is this? Look at that. They're going to say we built this, right? Humans. We probably did. I don't know. Maybe not. Who built this? Right, it's crazy. Look at that. Salutes, Bex. How we doing?
Brandeis professor Stephen Whitfield, expert on Jewish American culture, who wrote a foreword to the 2000 reprint of the fair program that the Chicago Jewish Historical Society put out.
That the Chicago Fairs, okay. One if that's the Fairs.
Beautiful. I highly recommend it to all of you. And he said that the script writers for the fair were apparently the Zionist publicist Maurice Samuel and Chicago's Rabbi Solomon Goldman, plus Weisskall himself.
That reminds you of Mother and Madonna again, right? Madonna and Mother, Child and Mother, right? Mary and Jesus. Is this where Mary and Jesus get their identity from?
We don't have a written text of the pageant or proof of this collaboration, But there is a synopsis included in the pageant program that describes each episode. And it would seem that if this threesome of cultural Zionist thinkers did collaborate on the script, that they probably balanced out one another's thinkers.
Oh, strange story. She's connected with Yahweh as a consort, meaning before the Jews were monotheistic, their God had a wife. God's had a wife. Look at that.
Did collaborate on the script, that they probably balanced out one another's styles. Maurice Samuel was very good friends with Chaim Weizmann and Weisskopf, and a prolific.
See, that's interesting because they don't ever include the mother. Right? No one includes the mother. Even the biblical flat earthers. Everything is Jesus and Father, but no one includes the mother. They worship the mother secretly, but they don't include her. They don't speak about her.
Prolific writer of both fiction and nonfiction. You may best know him for writing The World of Sholem Aleichem in the early 1940s. Indeed, did a lot of translation work. He had a piercing intelligence, often controversial. In 1931, he wrote a book called On the Rim of the Wilderness.
Look at that. They've got this beast chained up. What's on his hands? How many is there? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Three of those things on his head. The 3 dots. 1, 2, 3. 3 eyes.
Wilderness, the conflict in Palestine, and he minced no words in his opinion that held Arab leaders in pretty low esteem. He accused them of incompetence and at best greed and power-driven manipulation of their own people.
Oh, I like that. Where I said bow frog. Egg, the egg. Right?
Very strong statement that he made. Solomon Goldman, on the other hand, was Solomon Goldman.
Another form of altar for child sacrifice. Oh, damn. Hell no.
On the other hand, was effusive and excited about the potential for Jewish and non-Jewish cooperation in the United States that the pageant also asserted. And in his foreword to the original program, he started off by saying, "Thank God for Jewish Day. At a century of progress, on the eve of America's great day of independence, the Jew portrays his eternal romance, his romance with God, with life, with ideals." Despite the differences in tone and probably some of their ideas, all three of these men did believe in the universe to Ellen put forward universalism in this Jewish American context of the pageant.
There you go again. It's a 3-eye atlas.
So though varied in their opinions and styles, these three men revered Jewish culture and set Jewish history up as Zionist, expressed 4,000 years of Jewish history, Zionist. But he did Jewish history up as a paragon. The pageant's musical director, Isaac Van Grove, was not a practicing Zionist, but he did share these sympathies toward the Jewish people. And in him, Weisskopf found an exceptional collaborator capable of composing a score that expressed 4,000 years of Jewish history and of directing over 3,500 performers. According to the pageant program, Isaac Van Grove started his career as an accompanist to well-known artists. And the ideas and the aesthetics of the romance were indeed cohering. Weisskopf was managing to gather Chicago Jews who were geographically spread out. He described insofar as having something for everybody. Zionists, non-Zionists, the religious, the nationalists, everybody. But Weisskall's practical mission was to resuscitate Zionism in Chicago and beyond, and to raise concrete religious, the nationalists, everybody. But Weisskall's practical mission was to resuscitate Zionism in Chicago and beyond, and to raise concrete support for Chaim Weizmann's mission to rescue German Jewish scientists and resettle them in Palestine. So as you may recall, there had been a schism in the Zionist organization in the United States when a group following Louis Brandeis' leadership split from supporters of Chaim Weizmann. Weisskall was in the Weizmann camp. In 1921, Weizmann was elected president of the World Zionist Organization. He visited the United States and, together with Albert Einstein, undertook a fundraising campaign to advance the Zionist cause. In 1925, together with Lord Balfour, Weizmann inaugurated the Hebrew University of Jerusalem on Mount Scopus in Jerusalem. And he said on that occasion, quote, "We must create a high culture based on Jewish morality and make it a center of human culture." And indeed, that really describes the thrust of the pageant's content as well.
Take that back.
And make it a center of Scopus in Jerusalem. And he said on that occasion, quote, "We must create a high culture
Create a high culture
based on Jewish morality
based on Jewish morality
and make it a center of human culture."
and make it a center of human culture. Wowzers, damn. I mean, you can take that in many ways, right? But that's like domination. That sounds like domination, right? You know, make it this way. Okay.
And indeed, that really describes the thrust of the pageant's content as well. That putting forward the narrative, the story of Jewish evolution from the beginning of time, really as human evolution, right, up to the redemption in Palestine, was the story par excellence of human progress. So, placing great emphasis on integrating science and industry, Weizmann promoted the establishment of advanced enterprises such as the phosphates plant at the Dead Sea and the hydroelectric plant at Naharim. However, despite renewed growth, the Jewish settlement was afflicted by an economic crisis, and to overcome that crisis, Weizmann established the Jewish Agency in 1929. Though embattled in 1933, and he had by then resigned his post as president of the Zionist organization, Weizmann was still very much respected. And when Weisskall convinced him to come and speak before the pageant, his participation generated a great deal of interest among Jews in the United States that most likely would not have been generated. So it did help to build an audience. Walter Roth, to whom I am most indebted, relays the story of Weisskall's convincing Weizmann to be a part of the Jewish Day pageant in this way. Weisskall decided he needed a famous speaker to fill Soldier Field with its seating capacity of nearly 100,000. Can you imagine? 100,000 seats to fill. I now live in Baraboo, Wisconsin. We have 12,000 people there. Everybody knows everybody. Can you imagine being in this group? Who was the most famous Zionist Jew in 1933 and a brilliant orator at that? Chaim Weizmann, of course. Weisskall telephoned Weizmann, who was living in London, and here's the description of it in Weisskall's autobiography. Weisskall: "Hello, Dr. Weizmann, this is Meyer in Chicago." Weizmann: "Was, bist du Meshuggah geworden? Have you gone out of your mind? Is Chicago on fire again?" Weisskall: "No, but it will be when you come here. I want you to come to Chicago for Jewish Day."
Is Chicago on fire again, you know? Do you think they're referring to the you know, Expo? Do you know what I mean? Chicago on fire again. Damn.
Chicago on fire again? Weisskall: "No, but it will be when you come here. I want you to come to Chicago for Jewish Day." Weizmann: "What's that?" Weisskall says, In parens, I explained as fast as I could. Weitzman, what's in it for the movement? Weiskal, with impressive emphasis and prayer in my heart, if you will come to Chicago for one day and make only one speech, even if for only 5 minutes, I will give you $100,000 for any Zionist fund you designate. Weitzman, put it in writing. So Roth tells us that Weiskal promised in writing, indeed, to raise $100,000 for Weizmann's Central Refugee Fund, which helped German Jews to settle in Palestine. And Weizmann agreed to come to Chicago. Weiskal warned Weitzman that he was limited to only one speech, and if he made 2 speeches, the fee would go down to $50,000. If he made 3 speeches, it was going to be reduced to $25,000. He was a very convincing man, Meyer Weiskal, and before he could set any of this into motion, however, he had one more person to convince, and that was the commissioner of the fair. And this was not necessarily either an easy feat. Rufus Dawes was a wealthy businessman, commissioner of the World's Fair. The Dawes brothers had many assets that they had acquired. In May 1933, Rufus was on the cover of Time magazine, writing about the fair that opened on May 27th. And it mentions in the Time magazine article that when Rufus Dawes, as an American Jewish demonstration of collective will and historic destiny, the romance folded lofty American ideas into its premise for creating a new nation. The collaboration between Jewish nationalist aspirations and an American civilizing democratic mission was also symbolized in the very framing and dressing of the performance's playing area.
Got the bull worshipping again, right? Rituals, ceremonies. We already went over this. Right? Bull worshipping. Bow, horns, crescent, moon. Connection.
The enormous expanse of Soldier Field's greensward, and the stage was flanked, and this is an image of the stage, according to Bennett, by avenues of 32 steel flagstaffs, from which swayed in the moonlight the blue and white banners of Palestine and the red, white, and blue of the United States. The picture, he added, was heroic. By the way, as you walked onto the main pathway of the fair, the Jewish Palestinian flag was not displayed with all of the other flags of nations there. It was, however, displayed in Soldier Field during the pageant on Jewish Day. And the
These rituals, bro, I say that.
young people who performed earlier in the day at the Hall of Science were carrying both American flags and Jewish Palestinian flags, which is the flag that we recognize today as Israel's flag. The pageant not only depicted history, of course, it also imagined the future, the redemption of the Jewish nation by its own hand through labor in Palestine. And here we see architect Samuel S. Oman's set design for the romance. This is a theatrical expression of the international style, white and geometric, a utopian tabula rasa. The Star of David illuminated atop the structure representing the temple in Jerusalem was a symbol of the eternal hope of the Jewish people, and at the same time, an impressive example of Western Electric's technical achievements. Now, a separate 2-level platform, which you see in the first picture here, this was floating in the foreground of the playing space, meant to resemble an altar, and atop the altar, to begin the pageant, an oversized Torah scroll was unrolled when the pageant began, framing the entire pageant as a kind of quasi-religious service that was read from the parchment of this Torah. The idol Malach, which you see in this other picture, and please excuse the reproduction of this from a Chicago Tribune article. This was one of the highlights of the pageant, and it's featured in one of the wonderful clips that we have here in the museum right behind us on these computers. I encourage you to take a look. You can see this scene in action. A Chicago Tribune writer reported on a dress rehearsal and described, it's kind of a fun story. It says, Judge Harry M. Fisher, general chairman of Jewish Day activities, was a solitary figure in the vast expanse of seats during the dress rehearsal. He looked on transfixed as under the last of the drivers, 200 slaves was dragging the huge idol Malach to the stage, on which human sacrifices were to follow bacchanalian orgies. The judge looked at the hideous figure of Malach and some of the feeling of revulsion against idols, which has been built up during the 4,000 years of the history of his race, must have swept over him as he pointed his finger and exclaimed, "That damned thing cost us $8,000. The idol measures 27 feet high.
The question of why the World's Fair Pavilion is a state secret remains. What don't they want us to know?
What don't they want us to know? Wild, right? Grand old chat room. So what's cracking? Anything new? Anything new? Anything old? Anything new? Anything old? Anybody got anything they like to share? What were we talking about earlier, actually? Shiva. Let me jump back onto Shiva, all right? Before we're talking about Shiva real quick. Where's it gone? Give me a sec.
Code space as being water.
Basically in water. Capsule. Okay. That's where we was. Let's go back up there. Give me a second, folks. Sec. Shiva. Right, Shiva. They tied it back in with the moon again, right? The moon missions, the rocket and the moon. Apparently you can't have one without the other. Right? Apparently you can't have one without the other. Now, I think Shiva could be another representation of the lens itself. Chief Ironbush said Shiva and Sheba is another term of 7. I like that. I like that. Hold on, sorry, I forgot something. Give me a second. Oops. There we are. Shiva and 7, right? Once again, we've got the 7 menorahs, or the 7 candles rather, that ties them to the menorah. Right? Is that another representation of the arms, right? Could that be the arms of Shiva again? Many arms of Shiva, right? The menorah again, right? Which ties back into the moon again, right? We went over this one before. We've got 7 candles again and 7 lights within the moon disk. All right, 7 Sheba. I'm willing to bet a pretty penny on that. It ties back into Shiva again, right? With the lens. Right. We've got here the destroyer, Shiva, right? This one is outside of CERN apparently, or located next to CERN. So I don't know whether it's outside or around the corner, but I know it's associated with CERN, right? Is what I'm trying to say. So I need to pay attention to what's going on here again, right? The sphere, and you have the winged disc again, right? The winged disc again. Shiva again, right? Back to the eye, the construct in one. All right, look at that. All right, you see where I'm going with that? All these back to the eye. Hold on. Let's give you this one so you see it better. Hold on. You see what I'm trying to say? All right, we're back. Shiva, right? Shiva. The lens again, right? Shiva being the lens again, right? See how it's been held. The winged disc, right? Shiva being the lens, the nucleus, all of that. Mother, right? The winged disc as they give it to you in a representation of the construct, right? Leads back to hollow earth. It don't take you back to flat earth. Shiva don't take you to flat earth. Shiva takes you to hollow earth, right? And then it will take you to where? The moon, correct. Right? That's why they don't want you talking about these things. Because you can't have one without the other. Try to separate them. It's an illusion. You can't do it, right? Can't do it. If you're going to talk about the moon, have to talk about Earth and vice versa, right? Flexions, flexion, the winged disc, right? The winged disc, the destroyer, right? You're looking at the destroyer, the lens. I told you, it's the lens, right? The light, the light. They got it representing as a type of sword here, plasma beam, right? It's really the light, right? Penetrating. Whenever you see the sword, it has to be penetrating the nucleus or the atom or the lens or something. I'll show you what I mean, because we've got some new folks that's joined us, so. I wonder if we've got it here. Yes, sir. Yeah, there you go. All right, we got it. All right, so like I was showing you here, right? It's always a sword, right? If it's the destroyer, it's gonna be destroying the planets or the worlds, whatever, right? You have the lens, the winged disc, right? The winged disc, the weapon, right? The wing disc, the lens penetrating. Oops, hold on. I need to. Right, she's known as the Destroyer. Right, Shiva, the Destroyer, doing the cosmic dance, doing a dance, right? The Destroyer, the winged disc. Right, she's showing you she's the winged disc. All leads back to the eye, right? The light within the eye, penetration, right? The light would be penetrating something as the sword, right? Where do we see that? Penetrating, right? As that would be reason why they're showing you this, because this would be, you know, the light refracting coming off the lens itself, penetrating, right? The nucleus. Right, you not even got a hair. Wow, okay. Check this out. I wonder if, oh shit, hold on a second. Look, that one right here, right? That looked like the bell itself, like the UFO, with its laser coming down, hitting the concave lens. It's penetrating even brighter, right? It's crazy. That looks like, yeah, how the, you know, how it, shit, yeah, I know what's going on there. I know what's going on. That's sneaky. They snuck that in. Oh shit. Damn, 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 damn. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Reflecting off the shell, of course. Okay, yeah, I see what's going on. All right. So where was we? Went over Shiva. How long have we been going? What's the time? Oh, no way. I got work tomorrow. I think we'll leave that there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you don't know what's going on anyway. Inner earth is your inner self. I like that. I like that. Ritual burning for Phoenix ritual. Oof. Well, this is the thing, right? I think this is the Phoenix ritual, right? When the lights show, this almost looks like a bird with its wings spread open, right? But this is the light show, the plasma event. That's coming from there. It's crazy. But yeah, we'll leave that there, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to take too much of your time. And plus, I got work in a few hours. So I guess we'll leave it there. I don't think anybody's got anything new. Otherwise, they would have hit that link. So we'll leave that there. In the meantime, you already know the motto, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to look after yourself, love over war, lay low. All right. Till next time, much love, London.